Right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the training of volunteers for disaster management. Now, this is where we are looking for people who can volunteer themselves for the services and evacuation plan during when a disaster strikes you. Let us look for the training part aspects of the volunteers. Now, what are disaster volunteers? Volunteers have invaluable resources. In fact, they are priceless at that point of time when they are trained and assigned and supervised. Absolutely, volunteers are as valuable as anything. So there is an economic and logistic value in working with volunteers in times of disaster. Why economic? Because they are providing their services almost for free, absolutely for free. They are providing their services with a with earnest goodness and honesty as their goal. They are providing the services to help uplift the community and together. So the best of the intentions are there for you to go around it. So it makes times for economical and logistical value. Ideally, volunteers are affiliated beforehand. They should be identified beforehand. But during disaster, many people volunteer for the first time, and that is a natural thing when you see your own brothers and sisters flourishing, or should I say, not able to cope up with the situation, or being affected very negatively and acutely. This is a time when you automatically the surge comes from your inside to volunteers and help the community keep up with the pace of the unfortunate incident. So what we are talking about SUVs, is spontaneous, unaffiliated volunteers. We are looking at spontaneous, unaffiliated volunteers who needs to be flexible, who needs to be self-sufficient and aware of the risk that a damage control measures would involve around it. Remember, we're talking about risk. Remember, during all sort of disaster, there's always this sense of any pandemic being spreading out because of the virus and bacterial infection. Things are not at the rosiest of the picture. Information is vital to be successful management on unaffiliated volunteers per se. Now, who converges? People converge in the disaster for different reasons. Some might have lost their near and dear one similar disaster some years back in some other places perhaps. So and then there are people who will volunteer because they have just seen uh, the nasty aspect of a disaster, so they are bound to volunteer themselves. There are people, there are helpers, there are returnees, there are anxious, there are basically even curious people. There are probably fans and supporters who are likely to go for volunteers, and definitely let us not forget the exploiters who wants to have the best of the scenario of that unprecedented event. So we have people who are helpers, who are returnees, who are anxious, who are curious, who are fans or supporters, or probably even exploiters. Remember, disaster volunteers are priceless. They are invaluable. But survivor is our only motive. That's the only objective that we all should be carrying in our heart. We should ensure that we are able to save not only property but also life, come what may, and that is what disaster volunteers should always aspire to. So, elements of volunteer management: create a plan, have a plan, recruit, receive, place volunteers as on when on basis resources are mobilized, people are coming forward to help. Please accept them and probably navigate them in such a way fashion that that things have been coordinated and everybody's effort goes to an extra mile, extra effort for everything that they spread around it. So orient the volunteers, train the volunteers, tell them categorically in black and white what is expected of them. Supervise, recognize volunteers, evaluate the program, ask them, assign them reporting heads, probably. This is what elements is all about it. We need to understand time and again. SUV spontaneous volunteers, participants, or spontaneous volunteers management. First and foremost is planning. Write a job description. Absolutely, of possible disaster role. If you have any volunteers coming up, if you have any returnees coming up, if you have any curious people coming up, probably would like to help you out, write exactly what is expected of them. Give them, tell them in no uncertain terms what is expected and how to go ahead with it. Establish a procedures. If possible, sign a memorandum of understanding. Receiving and placing orders. Public message to spontaneous volunteer. Registered volunteers. Interview volunteers time and again. This is how you will receive any kind of resources And if it is the volunteers, ensure the message is clear to every volunteers, register them, interview them, and if possible, sign them on a plain jotted understanding what is expected of them and how they are expected to behave during the relief work. So spontaneous volunteer management is all about orientation. We'll talk about the training part of it. It is the safety first approach that needs to be taken into consideration. Remember, the victims are to be saved. That doesn't mean the volunteers' lives should be put at peril. Everyone needs to be attended. Safety first should be the principle for everyone. Job training depends on the risk of the task, complexity of the task, volunteer level of experiences, and type of equipment necessary as and when on happen. When we talk about safety training, carefully follow every instruction which is given to the volunteers. Dress appropriately for the conditions. Bring work gloves, sunscreen, hats, and any appropriate tool that you have. Probably a chisel will do. Bring water, an ample amount of it. Drink it regularly. Keep your nerves calm. Take care of yourself, or you just cannot help other. Check for the volunteers' liability coverages. Attend for any debriefing activities provided. As on when on basis, what we are looking forward to. How do we go ahead with it? Spontaneous volunteer management is all about supervising, is all about managing, watching the signs of critical incident stress all together, ensuring that the volunteers are aware to take care of themselves, because only when they are healthy, when they are in the right frame of mind, they can help assist the victim. Monitoring changes situation time and again. That is what we need to understand every moment altogether. Monitoring changes everything, evaluating, integrating lessons into the plan for future as possible. This is spontaneous volunteer management per se. Remember, absolutely, they are spontaneous. Who? The volunteers. Whether you are prepared or not, their energy needs to be tapped. Their intensity needs to be watched and properly guided. Plan for spontaneous volunteers should not be absolutely spontaneous. It should be pre thought about it. Everything should be worked out previously. Identify possible roles, receiving agencies, VRCs, volunteer relocation centers locations. What are we looking into? Policies, procedures. Probably if you want, the volunteers can put a tab and just earmark data entry, as simple as it is. That itself will go in a long way in the post disaster scenario, what has been done and what not to be done. Remember, volunteers are spontaneous. That does not mean that you as a disaster management expert or a relief head should be utilizing their service as on when on basis. It should be properly thought away for any work that has been assigned to volunteers. That needs to be understood time and again. So national service roles are local, filling community needs. If the need changes, the role changes. Supplementing and supporting other organizations, managing and leveraging volunteers, never the first responders, and are not self-deployed. Remember, that is what we should be looking upon it. Volunteering should not be done on a self-servicing basis, because then things will go array. Things are not being streamlined for disaster management. It should be properly streamlined. National On a national scale, disaster is the focus area, including the national response plan and the relation with FEMA, as what is going to happen. The Federation of Emergency Management of America, what do we look into it as far as possible? So potential roles. Multi-agency warehouse, definitely yes. We are mobilizing resources. We are mobilizing resources in terms of medicine, in terms of food, in terms of water. There is logistic growth. There has to be administration. The victims has to be airlifted or shifted, transported. Uh, the the network has to be erected, electricity has to be provided. It is a multi-pronged approach for any disaster. State your emergency management agreement altogether, what we are looking as far as emergency management is concerned. Local donation management, conduct the donated goods drive, organize a community yard sale, local distribution centers or place of distribution pods, what we are talking about it. Communicating where and how you will donate online, how via social blogs, through outlet, through platforms. If you are donating it, if there is a donation drive going around physically, please ensure that these have been streamlined and be properly been informed. If there is something on a community or sale, you should notify the place of the donation system or centers, the distribution centers as on when on basis. So importance of effective messaging, as good crystal clear communication is all about it. Distribute a consistent and clear messages. Confirm there's a need. Educate the public about how to donate goods. Address transportation for the donated goods. Packaging and labeling goods. Sort them out. Shrink wrap. Palletized, in fact, even earmark them, even tag them. Unwanted and unsorted clothing should also be mentioned out here. So remember, your messages should be tagged completely. Messages should be amply clear in big, bold, black letters. Confirm whether there is a need, yes or no. If there is, educate the public how to donate the goods. If there is a transportation for the donated goods, tag them out, package them out, label them out clearly, and sort them as unwanted or unsorted clothing as on when on basis. With this, I come to an end of this video. Thank you for watching this video till the end.